What's going on, guys? This is VinylicPuma, back with another Borderlands 2 countdown, and today I'd like to go over 10 of what I think are some of the best places or locations to farm chubbies and tubbies in this game. Now, before we start, I'd say the main reason you're going to want to farm tubbies in this game is for their unique loot pool that occurs after level 61 and 62 in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Tubbies are pretty much the best source for specific pearlescents like the Becca, Wanderlust, Carnage, and Godfinger, and are also the best way to farm many of the legendary DLC class mods that got introduced with the Digistruct Peak DLC. So for this video, I'm going to be going over 10 locations that I think are the best places to farm tubbies, since they don't always spawn in the same place like most mini-bosses do. Also, and as a fun little challenge for you guys, try to keep tally of the number of tubbies that we come across in this video in the comment section below. And if this video helped you in finding some tubbies, definitely leave a like on this video as it really helps out the channel. But without further ado, these are my 10 best places to farm tubbies in Borderlands 2, starting now. Number 10. The Wildlife Exploitation Preserve. Even though it doesn't have quite as clear of a farming route as some of the other locations I'm about to discuss, the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve can be a good place to encounter tubbies, farm specific mini-bosses like Pimone, Tumba, and this Son of Mothrak, as well as farming legendary loot midgets via the boxes that are located near the second echo that you need to retrieve for the Doctor's Orders quest. When it comes to farming tubbies specifically though, I think you'll find that your best bet is going to be to farm tubby skags here. While you can occasionally run into a tubby stalker or a tubby rack, they are quite rare, and given the prevalence of badass/rabid skags in certain parts of the preserve, like the area near Bloodwing's enclosure, you may find this area is simply better for farming tubby skags specifically. Again, while I would recommend several other places ahead of the preserve, which I'm assuming you can figure out given the position of this entry on the list, the preserve can be a good place to encounter some tubbies. So feel free to come here if you're bored, or if you want to change things up and farm for other things like loot midgets. Number 9. The Hallowed Hollow. Now, in order to access this area, you will need to have purchased the TK Baja's Bloody Harvest DLC, or you will need to have the Handsome Collection version of the game. Once you've done either of those things, you'll need to go to a specific sublocation here called the Colony, which features a bunch of spider ants. All you have to do is simply fight or run your way through this area, and if you're lucky, you can occasionally get a tubby to appear here. Plus, if you're just doing this DLC's main quest, you can run through the entire colony and into the infested forge to fight Sully the blacksmith, who has an increased chance to drop the Hellfire and Neogenator. After that, you can go just beyond where Sully is to open a chest and encounter a few more spider ants. While I wouldn't say this is the single best area to farm tubby spider ants, farming here can prove to be a nice change of pace due to how the area looks so much different than what you might see in the base game. And if you do decide you're getting tired of farming spider ants, you can always try and spawn Clark, or just beat up on Jacques for a decent amount of XP if you're trying to level up. The downside with this area is that you need the Headhunter DLCs, but if you've got them, this can be a great place to spawn tubbies as well as do plenty of other things. Number 8. FROSTBURN Canyon. So, FROSTBURN Canyon actually possesses some similarities to the Hallowed Hollow that we just went over, in the sense that a lot of the boss enemies possess a lot of the same designated drops. After all, you can farm Scorch for a Hellfire, Incinerator Clayton for a Pyrophobia, or the Spyco for the Neogenator. Also, and much like the Hallowed Hollow, FROSTBURN Canyon is a great place to encounter tubby spider ants. Typically what I do is start at the fast travel, walk up the hill, and then turn left and walk up that hill. Run past the bandits and go down the hill and just start looking for tubby spider ants. At this point, you should be able to go down this path to where you would find Scorch, and then if you go past Scorch, you can continue into a cave area where you find the last Gao, and there are plenty of spider ants in there as well. The major upside to this area is that it doesn't require DLC, and the route itself is pretty quick, and you should be able to complete it fairly quickly. So you may find you really like this spot. At the very least, coming here to farm some tubbies could prove to be a nice change of pace. Number 7. Three Horns Valley. If you plan on farming Tubbies here, I'd recommend you complete the No Vacancy side quest that reactivates the ARID, fast travel, and bounty board at the Happy Pig Motel. Once you've done that, you can simply just fast travel in here, and then run towards where you would normally farm Doc Mercy to encounter a number of skag dens along the way. If you don't find any Tubbies, you can always just save and quit, and then rinse and repeat until you get a Tubby skag to appear. This might be a great place to come farm too, provided you're trying to get yourself an infinity pistol, as you could also just go in the cave containing the Psychos and Doc Mercy. Though you will need to have completed the Excommunicate line of side quests in order to get Doc Mercy to respawn here. Otherwise, I've found you can encounter a surprising amount of badasses here, and the nearby fast travel makes this appealing for Tubby farming. So you may want to complete the No Vacancy side quest to farm some Tubbies here. Number 6. The ARID NEXUS Boneyard. While I think I prefer farming the other ARID NEXUS location that I'll be going over soon, the Boneyard is not that bad for trying to find some Tubby skags. This is mostly because the Boneyard's fast travel is literally right next to a skag den, meaning you could potentially come here, check the enemies in the den, and then if you don't get a Tubby to appear, you can simply just save and quit and then reload back into the area. Additionally, you can also find some skag dens that are located in the middle of this area near the pipe that you're in with the vehicle during the main story. Though I will admit that that's not quite as fast as simply checking the one den and then saving and quitting. If you're getting frustrated locating Tubbies in some of the other areas, definitely try this spot out for a while, as you may find some Tubbies. Number 5. Tundra Express. While not as good as a location that I'm about to go over later on, Tundra Express does have a bunch of Varkid nests, and where there are Varkids, Varkid evolutions can occur. This is good for our purposes because Tubby Varkids can actually spawn from badass and super badass pods. So as long as you can get an adult Varkid to enter a badass pod, you have the potential to get a Tubby. What's also nice about Tundra Express in particular is that there are just a slew of Varkid nests throughout the entire area. You can always use the main fast travel that's near the entrance to the entire area, and then virtually turn left or right to encounter a bunch of Varkid nests. Alternatively, you can also access the farmhouse fast travel, and I'd actually have to say that the area just around the farm is very ideal for Tubby Varkid farming or vermivorous spawning, provided that you're playing in multiplayer. After all, it's a fairly open area, and you usually know that the Varkid spawns are exhausted once the buzzards start to fly over, which gives you a nice cue as to when to save and quit and then reload back in. In general though, Tundra Express is a pretty great place to spawn Tubby Varkids and vermivorous. I'd recommend the farmhouse, but you can pull it off in other parts of Tundra Express as well. Number 4. The Dust. Running Bug Gulch that's located right behind Ellie's garage in the dust can be a great way to come across and farm for Tubbies. This is also a good area since it's relatively close to a fast travel, meaning you can fast travel here, do the run behind Ellie's garage, save and quit, and then reload back in and quickly do it all over again, which makes this a pretty quick and efficient farming method. What I also think makes this a great path to take is that you can simultaneously farm other enemies with designated drops too. Taking this path will allow you to occasionally encounter the Black Queen from time to time, which can drop the Nukem, and you can also farm Gettle and Mobley here as well, which drop the Lyuda and Varrock respectively. So in a sense, you can kill a couple of birds with one stone and farm some Tubbies in addition to some specific legendaries. Ultimately, I think if you're looking to farm for Tubby Spider Ants specifically, the Dust is probably the best place to do it. If you want the designated drops, just be sure to complete the Good, the Bad, and the Mordecai to make Gettle and Mobley farmable. The Black Queen, on the other hand, is just a random spawn. Number 3. The ARID NEXUS Badlands. In addition to providing some nostalgia for Borderlands 1 players, the Badlands is home to numerous skag dens which all have the potential to spawn Tubby skags. So you could potentially just run around this entire area and defeat every skag in sight. Provided you do that, you can also farm some specific enemies with their own designated drops like the Bonehead 2.0 for the Bone Shredder or Saturn for the Invader or the Hive. However, what I typically do when farming Tubbies here is farm the first few dens. All you have to do is fast travel here and then walk up the hill and fight all of the skags that you see. I don't usually go too far past the initial slag pool that you come across, since a number of the skag dens in this area are fairly concentrated. And if you don't end up finding a tubby, you can simply just save and quit, then reload back in and do it all over again until you find one. This is one of my favorite places to come and farm for tubbies, since you've got a pretty high concentration of skags that are all in just one area near the fast travel. So you should definitely come here and farm for some skags if you're having trouble with some of the other areas. Number 2, the Caustic Caverns. So the Caustic Caverns is a really great place to farm chubbies and tubbies. Much like Tundra Express, the caverns are a great place to farm tubby varkids, as there are a slew of varkid nests throughout the entire area, and there are actually quite a few near the fast travel and entrance. There's also a sublocation called the Infested Warehouse that is chock full of varkid nests. And really, of the two different locations, I think I prefer the Infested Warehouse for tubby varkids due to how you can more easily get the varkids to spawn and fight the threshers nearby, which allows you to level them up without having to constantly dodge them all the time. Additionally, you may also be interested to know that you can spawn tubby spider ants in the Caverns Netherhive sublocation as well. Provided you've gone through the Caustic Caverns normally and unlocked all of the doors, you can usually get here pretty easily from the fast travel. And, of course, if you're playing with others, you could just run the entire caverns to farm varkids near the fast travel, then varkids again at the warehouse, and then conclude by farming the spider ants near the Netherhive. Overall, though, the Caustic Caverns is just a really great place to farm tubbies of both the varkid and spider ant variety, so I'd say your chances of getting them to spawn here are pretty good. And finally, number 1, the Natural Selection Annex. While you will technically need the Creature Slaughterdome DLC to access this area on your own, which you should have that DLC provided you have the Game of the Year or Handsome Collection versions of Borderlands 2, you can also come here without the DLC too. All you need to do is play with someone that has this DLC and then travel through the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve with them and let them enter the Natural Selection Annex's door. Once you've done this, you should be able to come here yourself, regardless of whether you actually have any Borderlands 2 DLC or not. Once you're inside the Annex, though, you can simply take the Creature Slaughterdome quests here, and if you're lucky, you can get a variety of tubbies to spawn here. All you have to do at this point is fight through the rounds and hope a tubby shows up. If it does, you can quickly beat it and take its loot, and if it doesn't, you can simply quit before the Slaughterdome round is over, either by saving and quitting out of the game if you're playing solo, or if you're in a co-op setting, your team can fail the quest by simply letting the enemies kill you. If you ask me, this is a pretty great method for farming tubbies for both solo and co-op play. Just be sure to not complete all of the quests, or you may have to reset your entire UVHM playthrough. Alright guys, I think that's going to wrap up this particular video. If you enjoyed this video, definitely leave a like, click the bell so you can be notified when I upload more videos, and as always, and again, thank you all so much for supporting this channel. Take care, and I'll see you all in the next one.